Hi. Before diving into our implementation tutorial, let's take a few minutes and talk about how data is stored on the blockchain, more specifically, how NFTs ownership records are stored on the blockchain. So let's imagine that we have a wallet and its address starts with 0x33 something. And then that wallet, it owns a few of the popular NFT tokens. So let's say it owns a Bored Ape number 4, and it also owns a Doodle number 1000, and maybe it owns a Space Punk number 46. So this is our NFT portfolio. And so if we have a task, let's say we're building a web page and we want to connect the wallet, or the user connects their wallet, and then we want to output all the different NFTs that that wallet owns, that are in that wallet. Whether it's a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, whether it's a Space Punk, or any other NFT collection. How can we do that using just the blockchain? Well, the short answer to that is we really can't, because the way that information is stored on the blockchain is not as we see it over here. So this way of data organization is actually not valid in a real life blockchain. The wallet itself does not contain anything. It doesn't have any state. It doesn't have any information, any data assigned to it. It's just an address. So our wallet here is only an address. And we can claim that it's our wallet because we happen to own the private key to this wallet. Okay, so having said that, how do we know what is inside the wallet? We know that because every NFT collection has something called state. And the state is a piece of memory on the blockchain dedicated specifically to that collection. So the Bored Apes, the Space Punks, and the Doodles, as well as all other NFT collections, have a space on the blockchain where they store the records of ownership. So for Bored Ape number 4, the Bored Ape state has that it's owned by our wallet. And for the Doodles number 1000, they know that it's owned by this wallet. And the Spacebunk's contract state also has a record of our owning its token number 46. And they do have these records for all tokens in their collection. They have the token ID linked to a wallet address that owns that token ID. And so if we have a web page, let's say this is our web page, there's a wallet connect button. And so we connect our wallet, MetaMask. And then we want to show all of the NFT tokens that are in that wallet. Now, since we now know that a wallet is merely an address, how do we where do we query this information from? Because we don't know in advance whether we want to check against the BASE collection or the Doodles collection or the Spacepunks. We don't know all these collections. We don't know, we don't have a list of every NFT collection ever created, so we can just go and check each of them one by one in case there's any record of ownership associated with this wallet. We can't, and it's not an efficient way to solve this use case, to solve this problem. So this is where a centralized third-party API comes in very handy, because with a third-party API that already has this data collected and structured in a way that it's way more efficient from the performance perspective and easier to query, we can have a web page like this. We can build a functionality like this. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. This is the endpoint that we're going to use to build our page. This essentially allows us to retrieve a bunch of NFTs from many different collections for a specific owner wallet address. So it gives us a code sample here. You can switch the programming language and get a sample in the language that you are building your app in. For now, we're just going to use a JavaScript implementation. It's pretty straightforward. Just makes a GET request to this particular endpoint, and then in return it gets an array of NFTs with a bunch of useful metadata associated with each of the NFT. So let's see how this works in action. I've prepared a page where we're going to render our non-fungible tokens. So it just has a placeholder for our connected wallet address. And then we want to render all NFTs that address owns using this partial here, this template snippet. We'll have the name of the token. We'll have a URL to the Opensea page for that NFT. And we'll show an image preview of the NFT art as well. So let's start by connecting the MetaMask wallet to our web page. In this example, instead of using Web3.js, I'm using another convenience library, which is called Ethers. It's pretty similar to what we did in one of the previous videos. We're calling request accounts. This connects our MetaMask wallet, and then we just grab that wallet address and resolve our promise with it. So here in our DOM content loaded callback, once the web page is fully loaded, what we want to do is we want to have a variable for the account address. Then we want to assign it to the result of our connect function over here. And then we want to call a function that will render our tokens for this particular address. Let's call it render tokens for owner and pass our account address over there. So let's create this function, and it's going to take one argument, which is going to be the owner address. And what it's going to do is it will make a fetch request to the Opensea's API, api.opensea.io, v1 assets. Then it'll take the owner address as an argument. It's also going to take an order direction, which will have in descending order. We'll take an offset and a limit of, let's say, 30 per page. The second argument is going to be a set of HTTP headers and a method that we use where we're going to make a GET request. And then our headers, it's just, we want to make sure that we get JSON in return. So this then once we get the response, we're going to get an object that has one property, assets, which is going to be that array of NFTs from the API. So we need that later to render the tokens on the page. And then next we'll loop through our assets. We'll take attributes for each of them. And then we'll get our container div over here. And we'll just append. Let's just do attributes name for now. So let's see if this works. Refresh the page. And as you can see, these are all of the NFTs that are in the wallet that we just connected. We also want to have it so that when we switch from one account to another, it automatically refreshes the NFTs as well on the page. And that's pretty easy. So let me show you how you can do that. So here in our DOM content loaded, we'll add another event listener on our window.ethereum object. The event is called accounts changed, and it's gonna give us one variable, which is the new account address, which then we could use and then render the tokens for owner using the new account address over here. So let's see if that works. And as you can see, I've connected to a different address. If I switch between them, it's going to refresh and load the NFTs for the new account that I selected. Now this is all good, but let's actually render the art and some information about the NFT, and also let's make them link to the Opensea page for each token. To do that, we're going to need to append something more than just the name here. And let's have another function to handle rendering an individual NFT item so that we can append them in this for loop later. So let's call it create token element, and it's gonna take a set of it's gonna take this attributes object. So we're gonna use the attributes object, but we're only gonna need just a few of the attributes, not the entire object. So let's just whitelist them here to get the variables that we can use later. We need the name, the collection object, we need the link and the description. And we need something called image preview URL, as well as the token ID. To demonstrate to give you an example of the attributes for an individual NFT object, let's just console log them all here. So you'll see that there's more to the attributes than just these that we're going to be using. So you can see that these are the attributes for a single NFT, and there is a bunch of it over here. We have the asset contract, we have the creator address, we have a bunch of different URLs for images. So this is going to be the original one, which is a huge image. Well, not in this case, but it usually is. And then there is a preview, which is a smaller PNG optimized for performance. We also have the owner, profile picture URLs. We have the traits. We have the if there are any transfer fees associated with the sale, etc. So from all of this, we're only going to need just a handful of the attributes, which are here. So let's use them to construct that section for every token and then render it later onto our page. So let's have our new element, which is going to be a copy of our template content. NFT template content clone node. The argument that I'm passing it here is just to make sure that it's not just copying this one tag, but also all of the underlying elements as well. So then we want to have query selector. We're going to use this a lot, so I'm just going to copy and paste it a bunch of times. So we need to change the ID of the section. We want to set it to the collection slug underscore token ID. We also want to get the H1 and give it a name. The link should point to Opensea. And then the image should be image preview. And the image should also have an alternative text of description. And then we just return our new element like so. So now we can use this method inside our append function call and give it all the attributes that we get from the API. All right, now let's see if this works. Oops, content. Looks like I made a typo. It's content. Okay, so you can see that in the wallet that I connected, and let's actually make sure that we're also showing the wallet address connected. So here we wanna grab our current address, which is this div over here. We want to change it to account address. And we also want to have the hidden attribute removed. So now we have our wallet connected. If we want to switch between two wallets, we can do that. And well, it's actually not changing it over here. So let's fix that real quick. But you can see that the NFTs are being re-rendered depending on the wallet that you select. Okay, so the connect is being called only once it appears. That's why it's not. Maybe we can just call it again. So instead of getting this, we could just have it like so. This way, we also make sure that this the wallet address is up to date here as well. So and there seems to be an error. Oops. This makes it an async function then. All right, so this is our 0x35. We change it to, and then it updates here as well as the NFT tokens. And then if you click on any of them, it will lead to the OpenSea page for that token. And if you inspect the HTML, you can see that we have all of these populated using the Opensea's API endpoint for retrieving the assets.